So YouTube is full of these videos, right? 10, 50, 100 things to give up if you want to get rich. Well, here are 8 things I've realistically given up in favor of funding my designer handbag addiction. So no, giving up these items didn't make me rich. In fact, one could argue that they've probably kept me just as poor because all of that extra savings went straight into my closet. At most, maybe it's made me a little less poor. Yes, I'm being dramatic. I actually plan my designer purchases quite carefully, 99% of the time. But let's just dive straight into it and we'll do some math along the way because math is fun, so I've been told. And we'll tally up how much I've saved giving up these items and what that money can hypothetically buy. And P.S. if you are new, welcome. And if you've been around before, then welcome back. Here at A Briefcase of Luxury, we love to chat about all things related to life, learning, and luxury. I am a business professor, which realistically means I only work and get paid 9 months out of the year. So now that I am back in business, so to speak, and the paychecks are coming back in, quite unlike the summer months, it's time for me to get serious about my finances again and to strategically plan any luxury purchases for the remainder of the year. Hence, this is almost like a reminder to myself to keep my eye on the prize. So the first thing I no longer spend my money on is on manis and petties and even just nail polish in general. I currently own a pair of nail clippers and that's about the extent of my nail care. Now, I've done my share of acrylic and gel nails in the past, but as long as I've been here on YouTube, which really hasn't been that long, you would have noticed nothing but bare nails. I mean, one, at the end of the day, it's an unnecessary luxury I'm happy to give up, knowing that I have loftier goals in mind. And 2, I just don't have the time to keep up with the maintenance. Again, all in all, I'd rather invest my time and money elsewhere. So this was a really, really easy thing for me to give up. It wasn't much of a struggle. And this is going to be the running theme for the next 2 things on the list as well. But back to my nails, I just kind of keep them trimmed. I don't even bother with nail polish. And I feel like they've gotten healthier and stronger the less I've messed with them. Now, the second thing I no longer spend my money on is on any sort of high maintenance hair treatment. I used to color and biolage my hair all the time, which means I have to go get my hair done like every 4 to 6 weeks. Again, I just don't have the time and money for that anymore. I've learned to trim my own hair and my bangs, and I've been letting my colored bits grow out. So now I'm almost down to nothing but natural hair. This one is a little bit more of a struggle to give up compared to just getting my nails done because especially like during the summer months when I do start to get a little bit more color in my skin, I do tan fairly easily. I love, love, love having lighter colored hair, like a light honey brown. I think that just complements my skin and gives me that nice beachy, youthful glow. But every time I have to maintain my hair color, that's like 2 to 3 hours to set aside just to go to the salon and $200 to $300 easily just for color maintenance. Now I'm just learning to love and accept my natural hair color. And again, my hair has been a lot healthier and thicker now that I've stopped coloring it. And I can now trim my own bangs and dead ends on a regular basis. So the third thing I no longer spend my money on is on lash extensions. I used to love having lash extensions. Yes, they are pricey, but in theory, they should have saved me time in the morning. I did notice though, my lashes were getting a little thinner and more brittle, and you really do have to keep up with your appointments. If not, they really do start to look crazy real fast. And for me, again, I just can't guarantee I can make it to the salon when I need to. And I hate the look of old lash extensions that are barely hanging on for dear life. Instead, nowadays, Rapid Lash has been a total game changer for me. Ever since I stopped doing lash extensions, I've tried so many different types of lash serums, and Rapid Lash has just been the one that has worked the best for me. Nothing has even come close. However, my tip is just don't buy it on Amazon, even though you think you're getting it for a steal, because if it's too good to be true, then it probably is, because unfortunately, there is a problem with fakes being sold through Amazon, and the fake ones really don't work. So save yourself that $20-ish and splurge on the real thing, which should run you closer to like $50. So my advice is just to buy it from an authorized dealer like Ulta. Each tube will last about a couple of months, and it's a lot cheaper than just getting lash extensions at the salon. Now, I couple Rapid Lash with Etude House's Dr. Mascara Fixer, which that one you can find online. on Amazon, and they'll run you about $6, and it truly is a miracle product. It's more of a primer that you put on before your mascara, although you can find a version that is tinted and gives you like a supernatural look. But with both these products, my eyelashes have been unstoppable. They are the thickest, longest they have ever been. And you know you found a winning formula when your husband is asking you, hey, did you get lash extensions done again? And you can proudly say, nope, this is all me. Well, with some good lash serum and a good mascara primer. Now, the next thing I no longer spend money on is eating out. Now, this wasn't necessarily done for the sake of funding my purse addiction, but it is a byproduct. In general, my husband and I we're not foodies, all right? Like, we are fine not going to fancy restaurants. In fact, that's really not our style at all. Instead, we're more of the hole in the wall, cheap eats, street food type foodies. So expenses for eating out has never really been an issue. Now, I personally can't imagine dining at a place where I can't get an entree for about $20, and $20 is a splurge. And even then, we just don't eat out often unless we're on vacation. When we're not traveling, we prep and we cook all of our meals at home. At most, we've set a limit to eat out once a month. And typically that's for lunch, which also helps lower the cost. And more recently, we don't even manage to eat out once a month. We're happy prepping and eating our meals at home. Okay, so the next thing, kind of along those same lines, is alcohol. So say my husband and I didn't give up alcohol to fund our luxury spending, but again, that was a side effect of pursuing a healthier lifestyle. Now in 2020, we bought our last bottle of wine and we haven't looked back since. Now granted, even before, we would typically buy our alcohol to consume at home, and that's already a lot better than drinking out at a bar. We all know the markup on drinks at bars. I mean, they're insane, right? But regardless, we have been completely alcohol-free the past few years, and our wallet would have thanked us if we didn't funnel all those extra savings into shopping. Now let's stay on the topic of beverages for one more moment, and let's talk about what financial YouTubers make fun of all the time, but I do. That it's true. I no longer spend money on buying takeout coffee, again, unless I'm on vacation. I used to be terrible about getting coffee on the way to or at work, or during lunch for a pick-me-up, or as a treat ahead of a long meeting, even though I have a fully stocked coffee bar and Keurig in my own office. Now, the seventh item I no longer spend money on is on trendy clothing. So yes, I admit, as I've gotten older, I paid less and less attention to clothing trends. Plus, I am a Scrooge when it comes to clothing. So buying into trending styles just really doesn't work for me anymore. I'd rather buy a few key pieces that I can wear for a longer period of time than have to worry about updating my closet every season. Now, in my defense, the quiet luxury trend has been a little dangerous for me because that was my aesthetic to begin with. I think as a professor, that has just always worked best because I feel like it neither dates me or makes me feel like I'm trying too hard to look young, you know? But now that this is an actual trend, maybe kids think I'm trendy now too. Maybe? No. I really think most of the time I'm more of an NPC in their lives or a boss they have to defeat to move on to the next level. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but let's just say now that quiet luxury is just a trend, it is dangerous because I feel like I'm finding so many more pieces that appeal to me, even though I already have a closet I am 100% satisfied with. Now, all of a sudden, I'm thinking I need to add another pair of tailored trousers or another tailored shirt, even though that's all I practically wear to begin with. All right, the last thing on the list, I know this is ironic since we are talking about saving up for designer handbags. Now, this isn't something I've given up, but it's more something I'm glad I've never gotten into, and it is designer SLGs. And I'm glad I've never developed the taste for SLGs. I've been tempted for sure, but I've never gone down that rabbit hole. I have one true designer SLG, my Louis Vuitton key pouch, and that's it. But I get it, it's tempting to want to get something in an SLG if you can't get your hands on the real thing, either because of the price or availability. I mean, at Hermes, it's easy to be like, oh, I just want to test out the leather. So I'll just pick up, the Bastia or a Calvi card holder. And I mean, at Chanel, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, I like the style of this particular bag, so maybe I can just get a card holder version. I mean, rinse and repeat with every major designer brand. They probably have an SLG version of the bag that you were really wanting. And I know how tempting it could be to just want to test it out or opt for the SLG when you can't afford or haven't saved up enough for the actual bag. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't scratch your itch for the the real thing, then you would have just taken away money that could have been put towards the real thing, right? So also from a practicality standpoint, I hate swapping out my wallet. So my wallets are my ride or die. Like, I would not swap out a wallet until it's completely busted and held together with duct tape. So prior to this, I've been using my Louis Vuitton multicolored Kate clutch as my wallet. I used it for, no joke, 11 years straight. 11 years. Never once gave it a break. I bought it back in 2008, and up until 2019, going into 2020, that was my singular wallet. And the only reason why I decided to switch out wasn't because there was anything wrong with it. That thing was a trooper, and I still have it, but I switched out because back then I had moved to Europe and I had to take public transportation every day, and the clutch was just a little too impractical for getting on and off buses and trains, because I'd have to like run the pouch back and forth hoping the card reader catches my bus or train pass, and the pass is just like slipping and sliding around in my clutch. So on that note, maybe that's why I'm so drawn to bags like my Louis Vuitton wearable wallet with the little detachable pouch on the strap. And I know these little pouches, which Louis Vuitton is throwing on everything nowadays, along with the guitar strap, I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but every time I see one, I think, dang, that would have been really nice to have had back then. Even though now that I'm back in the US and I drive everywhere, I still can't help but like the functionality of a detachable strap pouch. Once again, we are getting off topic here. Just know, yes, I am not an SLG collector. I'm a one and done type SLG girl, and trust me, saying no to SLGs can save you a lot of money. For me, having more than one wallet would just stress me out. So like, I'm fine swapping out handbags weekly, but I'm not okay swapping out wallets. There's a lot I refuse to give up, and these 8 are the only ones that I have been most consistent about avoiding. I wish I could say I've given up my Netflix subscription, my Amazon Prime, my Disney Plus and all that stuff, or that I've avoided car loan payments. I can't say I've given up spending money on games and apps, because never in my life have I spent money on those to begin with. But now let's take a look at how much money not buying those 8 things should have hypothetically saved me. I'm just going to go off of national averages spent on these things, or according to Google for people here in the US. So one, when it comes to average spend on manis and petties, let's say you're averaging 1 visit a month and you're spending $60 a visit, 12 months in the year, that's $720. Now, when it comes to my second item, which is hair care, I think Google's lost its mind if they think that the average woman spends $250 a year at the hair salon. That wouldn't even cover one of my hair trips. So I'm just gonna ballpark this one. Let's say on the conservative side, I go every 6 weeks and it's about $250 each time to get my hair colored, treated, cut, and styled. That is closer to $2,100 a year, so a little off from Google's $250 spend a year. Now, even on the ultra conservative side, maybe I skip a coloring session or 2 and it's closer to $150 a visit. That's still $1,300 a year. So the third item on the list was lash extension. So let's say you're supposed to get your lashes refilled every 2 to 3 weeks, and let's say they cost about $100 per refill. That's $1,700 a year. Now compare that to, say, a $50 tube of Rapid Lash that lasts on average 2 to 3 months. That's only $200 a year. Now, the fourth thing was dining out. So the average American dines out about 5.9 times per week and spends about $3,500 on eating out per year. So that's just shy of $300 per month. Say that's $50 a meal for 2, 6 times a month. Like, that sounds pretty reasonable, but that's still a lot of money spent on eating out, right? So next on the list, we have alcohol. Again, the average of how much is spent on alcohol does vary drastically, but considering we never did drink in bars to begin with, and neither of us were heavy drinkers, I'm just gonna go with a more conservative number, and let's just go with $500. So that's about 3 bottles of wine each month. Now, next up is coffee. So Google seems to indicate that the average American spends about $900 up to $2,300 on takeout coffee a year, but let's go with about $1,100 a year, which is about $3 a day. Now, the 7th item, which is clothing, that's a little harder to pinpoint, right? But let's say the average person spends about $1,000 on clothes per year. If you are someone who likes to keep up with fashion, maybe you spend closer to $2,000. If you're someone who only buys the basic and doesn't care too much, maybe that's closer to $500. Now, thankfully, I'm not a big designer clothing person because those stats would not hold at all. But let's say if I were to buy trendy clothing, it would probably be more from high street brands. So I could easily see $1,000 a year being a realistic spend on trendy clothing because that's about $80 a month. So that's a really conservative and realistic number if you're just wanting to pick up a little something to test out a seasonal trend. Now, last but not least, we have SLGs. Now, let's say if I were to buy an SLG every time I took a vacation, typically that would be once in the summer and once in the winter, and each SLG is about $1,000. That seems to be a relatively safe mark where you feel like you're still getting a good deal. That's still $2,000 a year that can be put towards a sizable bag purchase. So now that we've added all of this up, we're looking at a ballpark of around $11,800-ish, so just shy of $12,000. That there is the boutique price of a Birkin or Kelly 25, right? Or 2 Lady Dior's from the boutique. Or heck, maybe even 4 Lady Dior's pre-loved. That's like 8 to 10 pre-loved Fendi Peekaboos. Multiple YSL bags, you get the point. Now, if this was more of a finance YouTube video, let's say you took that money and invested it in just a broad market index fund, and let's say we averaged a 10% gain over 10 years, that initial investment of $12,000 will have grown to $31,125. So you would have earned $19,125 in interest. Now, is it possible, along with regular price increases, inflation, rising costs of goods sold, that selling your Birkin or Kelly 10 years from now is going to net you a $19,000 gain? I mean, it's possible. So I'll let you decide what to do with your freed up $12,000. Now, in my case, I know this isn't a perfect science and not 100% accurate of what really happened. However, giving up these 8 items did allow me to pay off my credit cards. It did allow me to put more towards my personal savings, my retirement account, my traditional brokerage account, in addition to helping me beef up my fun money account, which did allow me to further indulge in buying designer handbags. Now, at the end of the day, it's all about prioritization, right? When you have limited resources. So I'd be curious to know what you've given up for the love of luxury spending. Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.